Welcome to Tech Talk Tuesday. I'm your host, Carla, and with me is my fellow co host for the next 2 weeks while David Blake is out of the office, Rich Kuvilli. And we have some activity to talk about that happened in the stock market, along with some interesting things that we can take a look at that Market Edge provides on our website. Rich, how are you doing today? And welcome to the show.
Thank you, Carla. I'm happy to be here.
Great. I'm definitely happy to have you. So let's get started by taking a look at the market letter from last week, and then we'll go from there.
So again, hi everyone. So when we actually look at this week's market letter, the first thing that one of the first things you're actually going to see is that we went to a bullish posture on the market just this past week. So the bullish posture is projected to stay at that level for at least the month of May. Probably it'd be wise to actually look at that posture number that we assigned to it, the CTI number, as that is projected to also go a little lower as the month goes, as some weakness may actually come into the market. But for now, we are solidly bullish the market posture. So when we're looking at the weekly market letter, I'd like to hone in on what we're looking at from a technical lens. Okay. So I want to highlight a few things here. So in this letter, we talk about the technical indicators improved with MACD, a short-term trend measure, crossing into bullish ground for the different indexes. While momentum is measured by the 14-day RSI, neutral to positive, but rising across the board. Let's go ahead and see that, Carla, visually.
Oh,
So let's pull up DIA, that is the ETF that is following the Dow Jones.
okay.
And as you can see here, the Dow Jones is really at an inflection point here where it is right now just testing that resistance level. We have a little bit of a spike happening today. It's very minor, but it did break through uh, that level, which is very important. The same can be said for the S&P 500. So let's type in the SPY. Okay, same thing here. This is something that broke out just yesterday above that 50-day moving average. Okay, so in the letter we expressed that to keep an eye on these 50-day moving averages for the different indexes for signs that that a rebound uh, can start fresh leg higher. Okay, and so we're seeing that play out. Let's look at the very last one, QQQ, which is the Nasdaq.
Okay.
The Nasdaq is solidly over this level, so a move higher beyond that continues to be positive for the market. Okay,
Okay.
so these are things that are just occurring, and so we see this as something that should move higher, throughout the month of May. Okay.
Okay.
However, it's important that we start to look into stochastics, as some of these moves from the April low may be running out of steam, at least in the short term. So it's very important for us to look at whether these things are overbought or oversold. So just stick a marker there, just to always look at where the stochastics land for these different averages. But for now, any pullback looks short term, but you may have some pullbacks that actually happen within the month that may present themselves. And there is weakness that is showing up on different indicators. So this is just something that you want to just keep an eye on in the short to intermediate term, but break above that 50-day moving average. It's a really big signal for a fresh leg higher.
Okay.
So the other thing that we want to look at are the market sectors. And in this portion of this conversation, this is something that I think kind of gives our users a look into how technicians analyze the macro market. So one of the things that we actually look at, if we actually go to Chart Scout,
Okay.
for those For those who actually have Chart Scout, this is good information to have. For those who don't, this is something that you probably want to glean from. So we're going to select our watch list here in Chart Scout
And do the sectors.
and do our spider sectors. Yep.
Okay.
What we like to do here is to just get a macro look of the market in a quick and easy way is to have a stock watch list that has all the sectors so that you can sort of scroll and see which ones are outperforming. If you actually look at most of these, we also make mention of this in the letter that most of these sectors are stalling right there at that 50-day moving average. So that blue line is where we see the rally. Well, the 50-day moving average where we see some conflict there between buyers and sellers. So keep an eye on this 50-day moving average, just like the different indexes. This also is playing out for the different sectors. So a breakout above that 50-day moving average for most of these sectors would also signal a new bull run. Okay, so the 50 days really something that we're really looking into, very closely. As a break above those levels will sort of lift all boats. Okay, currently right now we only have the utilities sector that is above the 50-day moving average. That's XLU. There you go, right there. It's a defensive play right there. Okay, so we're coming off a bearish posture where all the growth sort of resolved back below support levels. So the defensive plays take leadership. And so here, utilities is the only one that's solidly above its 50-day moving average. With consumer staples, if you look, Carla, all the way to the left or over there, we do have a breakout also for the consumer staples as well. And currently testing resistance levels, but there is a clear breakout above the 50-day moving average. The great thing about this also is, these different charts are paired with the 14-day moving average. So if you can see here, you can analyze sort of the movement that's going on with this, and everything appears to be slowly positive and moving in the right direction. So this is a plus that's going on in the market. I just want to add one last thing here. The RSI can do more than just kind of show, at what point a security is overbought or oversold. It can also indicate securities that may be primed for a trend reversal or a corrective pullback in price. So this 14-day RSI is really something that's key. If you start to see this sort of break down, it usually precedes price and can really be a good signal of sort of when to get out and when to get in. Okay. So traditionally, you want to remember that an RSI reading of 70 or above indicates an overbought situation. A reading of 30 or below indicates an oversold condition. Okay, but you're also looking for where these things turn for trend reversal signal.
This watch list that I created here that has all of the sectors. So you can easily create that same watch list yourself and be able to see everything that we are looking at here.
That's correct. Every technician with any kind of technical lens wants to consolidate all these different charts and sort of make a quick decision as to what is leading, what is lagging, what is getting better, and what isn't. So all that is the benefit here for Chart Scout and other lists that you may put together that sort of gives you the visual. It really kind of hones in on what technical analysis is, at its core. It's the visual tool. You're looking at things from a charting perspective instead of just reading about it. You can really glean a lot from what the charts are actually telling you. Okay.
Okay, great. Well, is there anything else that we would like to take a look at for this week?
Sure. There is one little nugget I want to show everybody about, and that is a question that I get quite a bit whenever I'm in the supporting circles, and that is how do we track performance or know of I guess, the authenticity of our list and trading ideas and the various lists that we have. So I kind of want to bring people into how you can customize a list, put in your different performance indicators, and then overlay that over different lists so you can actually get a gauge for how those lists are actually doing. Okay, so this is already something that we plan to provide in future iterations to have sort of, how good that list is doing. But in the interim, this works as a workaround. So let's go back to Market Edge.
Okay.
And let's go to trading ideas.
All right.
One of the lists that a lot of people access, obviously, is the best longs list. So let's click on our best longs. So Carla here has already layered her performance customized report. Let's go to customized report and let's just go very quickly through how people actually do this. So here you can just go to add report. So go into your performance one where you edit it. Yep. And all Carla does basically is add in the different indicators that are tracking performance. So not just the technical stuff, but we're also track performance here in our different lists. I mean, in our different indicators, I should say. So here we have, a day change, a 5-day change, 10-day, 30-day, 90-day, year-to-date. We've also put a price compared to the 50-day moving average, the price compared to the 200-day moving average, that is percentage above or below. And then we actually add the slopes as well. And I'm going to talk about the slopes in a second. So once you do that, you click on save, and then just like that, you have a performance report. Okay? So let's go back to trading ideas and into our best buy list.
All right.
Okay. And so here you can gauge for yourself how these stocks are doing in the short term, the intermediate term, and the long term. So just looking at this list, some conflict there in that 5-day change as things start to get a little bit better. But when we start to go out a little bit further in that 10-day, 30-day, 90-day change, I'm seeing a lot of green. Okay. So you're probably wondering yourself, okay, well, this is great, but how do I glean which ones that I should be looking into? Okay. So it's the reason why not just having performance indicators is one thing, but there's some other indicators that I like to use also that sort of explains what this performance is, because part of technical analysis is all about explaining the move. Okay, so when I'm looking at anything, I want to see, where is it in relation to the 50-day moving average? Where is it in relation to the 200-day moving average? So, we want to see all these stocks and ETFs that are on this best long list solidly above the 50-day and 200-day moving average. You will see that basically every stock in here. Then if we move a little bit more to the right, Carla, I also want to look at the slope. So what is the slope? The slope is a technical indicator used in linear regression to measure the rate of change in price over a specific period. The long and short of it is the slope basically is telling me the speed at which this is changing. And so when I have a solid upward trend, typically, my 10-day, my 50-day, and 200-day are in unison and in accord with one another, and they tend to sort of move up in that fashion. Conversely, when you have some deterioration, some of your 200-day and your 50-day moving average slopes will start to flash a bearish connotation that sort of tells you that, hey, things are not all well here. So in a solid uptrend, you want to make sure that, a large slope sort of indicates a steeper line and a greater rate of change, while a smaller slope or a bearish slope indicates, slower growth or decay in there. Okay, so that's just a nugget that you want to use when you're looking at these customized report, where you're using not just performance, but you're also looking at where it is in relation to the different moving averages, and also how fast is that moving, the rate of change. So all these and very good, uptrending markets, which is sort of what we have right here. You should see a lot more of these and solidly bullish. You should see stocks solidly over the 50-day and 200-day moving average, and you should see mostly green when we have this. Conversely, when the market is turning, this is not so nice. You have a little bit more red, you have a little bit more uneasiness, and the list is much shorter. These 22 results that we have here. That's it. That's my nugget for the day. We're looking at different things here in Market Edge, and hopefully I answer that question for several people when you're trying to uh, navigate the different lists and trading ideas. We have about 42 of them. So again, overlaying this performance customized report, you can kind of get a gauge of how they're really doing.
All right. Well, that is extremely helpful. I know that this is actually something new to me. So, Rich, thank you so much for all your insight here based on your deep experience with Market Edge. I know you have been using Market Edge for probably over 20 years. So, very much.
Correct. I've been here a while.
Yeah. So, definitely appreciate that. I guess gives us a lot of things that we can keep an eye on for actually not only this week, but moving forward as well. Is there anything else that you want to add before we wrap up this week's Tech Talk Tuesday?
No, just always keep an eye on market ladder for confirmation of uptrends, downtrends or sideways trends. Those are the three movements that the market is concerned with, and always sort of gauge your performance. And for those who have Chart Scout, you're in a really unique position where you get to look at, or you get to have a macro look of the market. Once you use that utility a little bit more, it can really sort of fine tune and make quick decisions as to what's leading and lagging. That's really it.
Okay. Well, great. Thank you again, Rich, for all the very helpful information. I'll go ahead and wrap up this week's Tech Talk Tuesday. Thank you so much for joining us on the show, Rich. And thank you to all of our listeners. And we will definitely catch you guys again next week.